The Detroit Pistons are a franchise of the National Basketball Association based in Auburn Hills, Michigan in Metro Detroit. In 1941, the team was founded in Fort Wayne, Indiana as the Fort Wayne Pistons, a member of the National Basketball League. Since moving to Detroit in 1957, the Pistons have won NBA championships in 1989, 1990 and 2004. The team's home arena is the Palace of Auburn Hills. Franchise history: 1941 Euro 1948 and 1948 Euro 1957 Euro the Fort Wayne Zollner Pistons and the Fort Wayne Pistons. The franchise was founded as the Fort Wayne Zollner Pistons, a National Basketball League team, playing in the gym of Northside High School in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Owners Fred Zollner and his sister Janet Zollner Corporation was a foundry, manufacturing pistons, primarily for car, truck and locomotive engines. The Zollner Pistons were NBL champions in 1944 and 1945. They also won the World Professional Basketball Tournament in 1944, 1945 and 1946. In 1948, the team became the Fort Wayne Pistons, competing in the Basketball Association of America. In 1949, Fred Zollner brokered the formation of the National Basketball Association from the BAA and the NBL at his kitchen table. There are suggestions that Pistons players conspired with gamblers to shave points and throw various games during the 1953 Euro 54 and 1954 Euro 55 seasons. In particular, there are accusations that the team may have intentionally lost the 1955 NBA Finals to the Syracuse Nationals. In the decisive Game 7, the Pistons led Syracuse 41 Euro 24 early in the second quarter, then the Nationals rallied to win the game. Syracuse won on a free throw by George King with 12 seconds left in the game. The closing moments included a palming turnover by the Pistons' George Yardley with 18 seconds left, a foul by Frankie Bryan with 12 seconds left that enabled King's winning free throw, and a turnover by the Pistons' Andy Phillip with 3 seconds left which cost Fort Wayne a chance to attempt the game-winning shot. 1957 Euro 1979, decades of struggle. Though the Pistons enjoyed a solid local following, Fort Wayne's small size made it difficult for them to be profitable, especially as early NBA teams based in smaller cities started folding. After the 1956-57 season, Zollner decided that Fort Wayne was too small to support an NBA team and announced the team would be playing elsewhere in the coming season. He ultimately settled on Detroit. Although it was the fifth largest city in the United States at the time, Detroit had not seen professional basketball in a decade. In 1947, they had lost the Detroit Gems of the NBL, which disbanded, and the remnants became the Minneapolis Lakers, and the Detroit Falcons of the BAA, which folded. Zollner decided to keep the Pistons name, believing it made sense given Detroit's status as the center of the automobile industry. The new Detroit Pistons played in Olympia Stadium for their first 4 seasons, then moved to Cobo Arena. The franchise was a consistent disappointment, struggling both on the court and at the box office. During the 1960s and 1970s, the Pistons were characterized by very strong individuals and weak teams. In fact, in their first 27 years in Detroit, they only had 3 winning seasons. Some of the superstars who played for the team included Dave DeBusschere, Dave Bing, Jimmy Walker, and Bob Lanier. At one point DeBusschere was the youngest player coach in the history of the NBA. Unfortunately, an ill-timed trade during the 1968 season sent the popular homegrown DeBusschere to the New York Knicks for Howard Comeves and Walt Bellamy, both of whom were in the later stages of their careers. DeBusschere became the key player that then led the Knicks to 2 NBA titles. The Dave Bing and Bob Lanier era did have some solid and exciting years, but they were handicapped by being in the same division as the Milwaukee Bucks, which had a young Lou Alcindor, and the Chicago Bulls, which likewise had some very strong players. In 1974, Zollner sold the team to glass magnate Bill Davidson, who remained the team's principal owner until his death on March 14, 2009. Davidson was displeased with Cobo Arena, but opted not to follow the NHL's Detroit Red Wings to the under-construction Joe Louis Arena. Instead, Davidson moved them to the suburb of Pontiac in 1978, where they played in the Mammoth Silverdome, a structure built for professional football. 1979–1994, the Bad Boys era. The Pistons stumbled their way out of the 1970s and into the 1980s, beginning with a 16–66 record in 1979–80 and following up with a 21–61 record in 1980–81. The 1979–80 team lost its last 14 games of the season which, when coupled with the 7 losses at the start of the 1980–81 season, comprised a then NBA record losing streak of 21 games. The franchise's fortunes finally began to turn in 1981, when it drafted point guard Isiah Thomas from Indiana University. In early 1982, the Pistons acquired center Bill Laimbeer in a trade from the Cleveland Cavaliers and guard Vinnie Johnson from the Seattle Supersonics. The three would remain together for a decade, forming much of the core of a team that would rise to the top of the league. Initially the Pistons had a tough time moving up the NBA ladder. In 1984, the Pistons lost a tough 5-game series to the underdog New York Knicks, 3-2. In the 1985 playoffs, Detroit won its first-round series and faced the defending champion Boston Celtics in the conference semifinals. Though Boston would prevail in 6 games, Detroit's surprise performance promised that a rivalry had begun. In the 1985 NBA draft, the team selected Joe Dumars 18th overall, a selection that would prove very wise. They also acquired Rick Mahorn in a trade with the Washington Bullets. However, the team initially took a step backward, losing in the first round of the 1986 playoffs to the more athletic Atlanta Hawks. After the series, coach Chuck Daly and team captain Thomas decided that their best chance to seize control of the Eastern Conference would be through a more aggressive style of play. Prior to the 1986–87 season, the Pistons acquired more key players, John Salley, Dennis Rodman and Adrian Dantley. The team adopted a physical, defense-oriented style of play, which eventually earned them the nickname Bad Boys. In 1987, the team reached the Eastern Conference Finals, the first time it had advanced that far since 1961 against the Celtics. After pushing the defending champions to a 2-2 tie, the Pistons were on the verge of winning Game 5 at the Boston Garden with seconds remaining. After a Celtics turnover, Thomas attempted to quickly inbound the ball and missed Daly's timeout signal from the bench. Larry Bird stole the inbound pass and passed it to Dennis Johnson for the game-winning layup. While the Pistons would win Game 6 in Detroit, they would lose the series in a tough Game 7 back in Boston. Motivated by their loss to the Celtics, the 1988 Pistons, aided by mid-season acquisition James Edwards, improved to a then-franchise record 54 victories and the franchise's first division title in 33 years. In the postseason, the Pistons avenged their 2 previous playoff losses to the Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals, defeating them in 6 games and advancing to the NBA Finals for the first time since the franchise moved to Detroit. The Pistons' first trip to the Finals in 33 years saw them face the Los Angeles Lakers, who were led by Magic Johnson, James Worthy, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. After taking a 3-2 series lead back to Los Angeles, Detroit appeared poised to win their first NBA title in Game 6. In that game, Isiah Thomas scored an NBA Finals record 25 points in the third quarter while playing on a severely sprained ankle. However, the Lakers won the game, 103–102, on a pair of last-minute free throws by Kareem Abdul-Jabbar following a controversial foul called on Bill Laimbeer, referred to by many Pistons supporters, and Laimbeer himself, as a phantom foul. With Isiah Thomas unable to compete at full strength, the Pistons narrowly fell in Game 7, 108–105. Prior to the 1988–89 season, the Pistons moved to Auburn Hills to play at the Palace of Auburn Hills. The 1989 Pistons completed the building of their roster by trading Dantley for Mark Aguirre, a trade that Piston fans would criticize heavily initially, but later praise. The team won 63 games, shattering their one-year-old franchise record, and steamrolled through the playoffs and into an NBA Finals rematch with the Lakers. This time the Pistons came out victorious in a 4-game sweep to win their first NBA championship. Joe Dumars was named NBA Finals MVP. Game 4 of the series marked the final game of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's career. Despite the loss, Kareem scored 7 points and recorded 3 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 blocked shots before the Los Angeles benched the veteran in defeat. The Pistons successfully defended their title in 1990. After winning 59 games and a third straight division title, the Pistons cruised through the first 2 rounds of the playoffs before playing a tough Eastern Conference Finals series against Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls. Facing each other for the third straight season, the Pistons and Bulls split the first 6 games before the Pistons finished the series with a decisive 93-74 victory in Game 7. Advancing to their third consecutive NBA Finals, the Pistons faced the Portland Trail Blazers. After splitting the first 2 games at the Palace, the Pistons went to Portland, where they had not won a game since 1974, to play Games 3, 4 and 5. The Pistons summarily won all 3 games in Portland, becoming the first NBA team to sweep the middle 3 games on the road. The decisive game came down to the final second. Trailing 90-83 with 2 minutes remaining, the Pistons rallied to tie the game, then took a 92-90 lead when Vinnie Johnson sank an 18-foot jumper with 0.7 seconds left in the game. This shot earned Johnson a new nickname in Detroit, 007, to go with his original, the Microwave. Isiah Thomas was named NBA Finals MVP. The Pistons' championship run came to an end in the 1991 Eastern Conference Finals, as the Pistons were swept by the eventual NBA champion Chicago Bulls, 4-0. The most critical Piston injury belonged to Isiah Thomas, who had surgery on his wrist just prior to the NBA playoffs. The conference finals were best remembered for the Pistons walking off court in the last game just before it ended, unwilling to shake hands with the Bulls. After the series, Jordan said he was shocked that Isiah didn't play as hard. Following this, the franchise went through a lengthy transitional period, as key players either retired or were traded. The team quickly declined, bottoming out in the 1993-94 season when they finished 20-62. 1994-2000, the Grant Hill era. The team's fortunes improved after that season, but the rebuilding process soon sputtered. As a result of the poor finish in the 1994 season, the Pistons were able to draft Grant Hill, a promising small forward. However, this period also saw the team make numerous questionable personnel decisions, such as the loss of free agent Allen Houston to the New York Knicks, the signing of free agent washouts Christian Laettner, Loy Vaught, Cedric Ceballos, and Bison Deal. And head coaching changes from Ron Rothstein to Don Chaney to Doug Collins to Alvin Gentry to George Irvin in an 8-year span. Of those coaches, only Collins had any sort of success with the Pistons, winning 54 games in the 1996-97 season. The franchise even changed its team colors in 1996 from its traditional red, white, and blue to teal, burgundy, gold and black in what proved to be a highly unpopular move with fans. This period has become known, often derisively, as the Teal Era. 2000-2008, returned to championship contention, after being swept by the Miami Heat in the 2000 playoffs. Joe Dumars was hired as the team's president of basketball operations. He quickly faced what appeared to be a setback for the franchise, as Grant Hill elected to leave the team for the Orlando Magic. However, Dumars managed to work a sign-and-trade with Orlando that brought the Pistons Ben Wallace and Chucky Atkins in exchange for Hill. Both quickly entered the Pistons starting lineup, and Wallace would develop into an all-star in the coming years. Conversely, Hill would play only 47 games in the following 4 seasons due to a recurring ankle injury. The Pistons suffered through another tough season in 2000-01, going 32-50. After the season, Dumars fired Irvin and hired Rick Carlisle, a widely respected assistant coach who had been a tough substitute contributor for the Celtics during the mid-1980s. In 2001, the franchise also adopted a modified version of its traditional red, white and blue scheme. Carlisle helped lead the Pistons to their first 50-win season since 1997, and their first playoff series victory since 1991. In the 2002 off-season, Dumas revamped the Pistons roster by signing free agent Chauncey Billups, acquiring Richard "Rip" Hamilton from the Washington Wizards, and by drafting Tayshaun Prince from Kentucky. The Pistons posted consecutive 50-win seasons and advanced to the 2003 Eastern Conference Finals, for the first time since 1991. There, however, they were swept in 4 games by the New Jersey Nets. Despite the team's improvement, Carlisle was fired in the 2003 off-season. There were believed to be 5 reasons for the firing. First, that Carlisle had appeared reluctant to play some of the team's younger players, such as Prince and Mehmet Okur, during the regular season, which had upset Dumas. Second, that some of the players had not gotten along with Carlisle. Third, that Carlisle's offense was thought to be conservative. Fourth, that Hall of Famer Larry Brown had become available. And finally fifth, that Carlisle was rumored to be interested in the Pacers' head coaching job during the Pistons' 2003 playoff run. Brown accepted the job that summer and Carlisle landed the job in Indiana as expected. The Pistons' transformation into a championship team was completed with the February 2004 acquisition of Rasheed Wallace. The Pistons now had another big man to pose a threat from all parts of the court. The Pistons finished the season 54-28, recording their best record since 1997. In the 2004 playoffs, after defeating the Milwaukee Bucks in 5 games, they defeated the defending Eastern Conference champion New Jersey Nets in 7 games after coming back from a 3-2 deficit. Detroit then defeated the Pacers, coached by Carlisle, in 6 tough games to advance to the NBA Finals for the first time since 1990. Many analysts gave the Pistons little chance to win against their opponents, the Los Angeles Lakers, who had won 3 out of the previous 4 NBA championships, and who fielded a star-studded lineup that included Shaquille O'Neal, Kobe Bryant, Gary Payton and Karl Malone. However, the Pistons won the series in dominating fashion, defeating Los Angeles in 5 games for the team's 3rd NBA championship. The Pistons posted double-digit wins in 3 of their 4 victories, and held the Lakers to a franchise-low 68 points in Game 3. Chauncey Billups was named NBA Finals MVP. With the win, Bill Davidson became the first owner to win both NBA and NHL championships in the same year, having won the Stanley Cup as owner of the Tampa Bay Lightning. Despite losing key members of their bench during the off-season, the Pistons were considered a strong contender to win a 2nd consecutive title in 2005. They won 54 games during the regular season, their 4th consecutive season of 50 or more wins. During the 2005 playoffs, they easily defeated the Philadelphia 76ers 4-1 and then rallied from a 2-1 deficit to finish off the Indiana Pacers, 4-2. In the Eastern Conference Finals, the Pistons faced the Miami Heat. Once again, Detroit fell behind, but won the Eastern Conference Championship in 7 games. In the NBA Finals, the Pistons faced the San Antonio Spurs. In the first NBA Finals Game 7 since 1994, the Pistons lost a hard-fought game with the Spurs, who won their 3rd NBA championship since 1999. The Pistons' 2004-05 season was marked by a major controversy, as well as distracting issues involving Larry Brown. In the first month of the season, a Pacers-Pistons brawl erupted, one of the largest fan-player incidents in the history of American sports. It resulted in heavy fines and suspensions for several players, and a great deal of NBA and media scrutiny. Meanwhile, Brown was forced to leave the team on 2 occasions due to health concerns, and also became involved in a series of rumors linking him to other job openings. Concerned about Brown's health, and angered over his alleged pursuit of other jobs during the season, the Pistons bought out his contract soon after the 2005 NBA Finals. Brown was promptly named head coach of the New York Knicks, and the Pistons hired Flip Saunders, formerly of the Minnesota Timberwolves. During the 2005-06 season, the Pistons recorded the NBA's best overall record. Their 37-5 start exceeded the best start for any Detroit sports franchise in history and tied for the second-best 42-game start in NBA history. 4 of the 5 Piston starters, Chauncey Billups, Richard Hamilton, Rasheed Wallace, and Ben Wallace, were named to the All-Star team, and Flip Saunders served as the Eastern Conference All-Star team coach. The Pistons finished the regular season with a record of 64-18, setting new franchise records for both overall and road victories. In addition, the team set an NBA record by starting the same lineup in 73 consecutive games from the start of the season. The top-seeded Pistons defeated the Milwaukee Bucks for a 1 in the first round of the 2006 NBA playoffs, but struggled in the second round against the Cleveland Cavaliers, falling behind 3-2 before winning in 7 games. Things did not improve against second-seeded Miami Heat in the Eastern Conference Finals. Miami defeated the Pistons in 6 games en route to the 2006 NBA championship. During the 2006 offseason, the Pistons offered Ben Wallace a 4-year, $48 million contract which would have made him the highest-paid Piston ever. However, Wallace agreed to a 4-year, $60 million contract with the Chicago Bulls. To replace Ben Wallace, the Pistons signed Nazr Muhammad as a center. He struggled to fill the team's void at center, however, and the team began looking for additional help. On January 17, the Pistons signed Chris Webber, who had become a free agent. The Pistons quickly began playing better basketball and, according to Newsday, started to get their swagger back. The Pistons were only 21-15 before Webber was acquired. With him, the team went 32-14. On April 11, the Pistons clinched the best record in the Eastern Conference, which guaranteed them home court advantage for first 3 rounds of the playoffs. The Pistons opened the 2007 NBA playoffs with a 4-0 victory over the Orlando Magic, their first playoff series sweep since 1990. The team advanced to face the Chicago Bulls, marking the first time that the Central Division rivals had met in the postseason since 1991. After winning the first 2 games by 26 and 21 points, the Pistons overcame a 19-point deficit to win Game 3, 81-74. Chicago avoided elimination by winning Games 4 and 5, but the Pistons closed out the series, 95-85, in Game 6. They advanced to the Eastern Conference Finals for the 5th consecutive time, 3 short of the NBA record set by the Los Angeles Lakers in the 1980s. In the Eastern Conference Finals, the Pistons won Games 1 and 2, but lost 4 in a row to the Cleveland Cavaliers. In the 2007 NBA Draft, the Pistons selected Rodney Stuckey as the 15th overall pick and Aaron Afflalo as the 27th overall pick. They also re-signed Chauncey Billups to a long-term contract, as well as re-signing top prospect Amir Johnson and key reserve Antonio McDuras. This season marked the 50th anniversary of the franchise in Detroit. At the start of the 2008 season, Rasheed Wallace became the Pistons' new center. Upon entering his 3rd season as Pistons coach, Saunders became the longest-tenured Pistons coach since Chuck Daly's 9-year tenure. Detroit finished the season 59-23, with the second-best record in the league. The Boston Celtics held the 1st seed, and many speculated that Boston was their main competition in the Eastern Conference. In the 2008 NBA playoffs, Detroit started out poorly with a Game 1 loss to the 7th-seeded Philadelphia 76ers and found themselves in a 2-1 deficit. But the Pistons rallied to defeat the Sixers in 6 games. Meanwhile, in the 2008 NBA playoffs, Detroit rolled out to a Game 1 romp of the Orlando Magic, and won a tight Game 2 amid mild controversy. At the very end of the 3rd quarter, Chauncey Billups hit a 3-point field goal that gave the Pistons a 3-point lead. However, the clock had stopped shortly into the play. League rules currently prohibit officials from using both instant replay and a timing device to measure how much time has elapsed when a clock malfunctions, nor is a replay from the time of the malfunction onward allowed. The officials estimated that the play took 4.6 seconds, and since there were 5.1 seconds remaining when it began, the field goal was counted. The NBA later admitted that the play actually took 5.7 seconds and the basket should not have counted. In addition to losing Game 3 badly, 111-86, the Pistons also lost all-star point guard and team leader Chauncey Billups to a hamstring injury. Despite his absence, the Pistons rallied from 15 down in the third quarter to win Game 4 90-89, on a field goal by Tayshaun Prince with just 8.9 seconds to play, taking a 3-1 series lead. Again with Billups sitting on the sideline, they then proceeded to win Game 5 in Detroit, winning the series 4-1. Detroit advanced to the Eastern Conference Finals for the sixth straight season, squaring off against the Boston Celtics. This put the Pistons second on the all-time list of most consecutive conference final appearances, only behind the Los Angeles Lakers who appeared in 8 straight conference finals from the 1981-82 to 1988-89 seasons. They lost Game 1 88-79, but won in Game 2 on the road, 103-97. Immediately following that, the Celtics won their first road playoff game of the postseason, 94-80, in Game 3. Game 4 saw the Pistons win 94-75. In the pivotal fifth game, they lost 106-102, despite rallying from 18 points down late in the game. In Game 6, the Pistons entered the fourth quarter leading 70-60, but a lack of focus, a poor game from Rasheed Wallace, and a rally-killing turnover by Tayshaun Prince ultimately led to their demise. The Pistons ended their season with an 89-81 loss. After that, the Celtics went on to win the 2008 NBA Finals. On June 3, 2008, the Pistons announced that head coach Flip Saunders would not return as head coach for the 2008-09 regular season. 2008-2011, failed express rebuilding. In November 2008 the Pistons traded its key members Chauncey Billups and Antonio McDermott for Allen Iverson. McDermott was later waived on November 10 and rejoined the Pistons on December 9, 2008. This Billups-Iverson trade was marked as a start of a new rebuilding process because of Iverson's free agent status at the end of the season. The season was marked with many controversies and injuries. As a result of that and poor play, the Pistons dropped down the standings, only clinching a playoff berth on April 10, 2009, good for the number 8 seed at 39-43, their first losing season in 7 years. The Pistons were swept by the Cleveland Cavaliers in 4 games in the first round of the 2009 NBA playoffs. It was the first time the Pistons had been eliminated in the first round of the playoffs since 2000. Allen Iverson left the team at the end of the season. In the 2009-2010 off-season, Dumas reached an agreement with the former Bulls guard Ben Gordon on a 5-year $55 million contract, as well as an agreement with former Bucks forward Charlie Villanueva on a 5-year contract worth $35 million. That same month, the Pistons lost their 2 key members during the last few years, veterans Rasheed Wallace and Antonio McDermott. On July 8, 2009 Dumas hired former Cavaliers assistant coach John Cuesta to be the Pistons' new head coach. Cuesta was, same as his predecessor Michael Curry, a debutant on the NBA head coach position. The Pistons signed back their former player and former Defensive Player of the Year, center Ben Wallace, before the 2009-2010 season. Despite these changes, the team regressed even further, hampered by injuries to key players. On March 23, 2010, the Pistons were eliminated from playoff contention with a loss to the Indiana Pacers, assuring their first draft lottery appearance and their first 50-loss season since 2001. The Pistons finished with a 27-55 record, and were last in the Central Division. It was their worst record since 1994. Another 50-loss season, this time finishing at 30-52, led to the firing of Cuesta at the end of the 2010-11 season. 2011-present, new ownership and more struggling. On April 7, 2011, the Detroit Pistons reached a long-awaited agreement to sell the NBA franchise to billionaire Tom Gores. The deal was granted by NBA in June and also included the Palace of Auburn Hills and ETE Energy Music Theater. According to Crane's Detroit Business, the final sale price was $325 million, far lower than expected. Still, it was a handsome return on Davidson's original investment of 37 years earlier. Prior to the 2011 Euro 12 season, the team decided to hire a new coach, Lawrence Frank, former head coach of the New Jersey Nets and an assistant coach of the Boston Celtics, and parted ways with yet another member of the 2004 championship team, veteran guard Richard Hamilton. The 2011 Euro 12 season was an improvement from previous years for the Pistons, although they still posted a losing record. While they started the season for a Euro 20, they managed to win half their remaining games to finish a lockout-shortened season with a record of 25 Euro 41. The team continued to build upon its young core following the drafting of the talented center Andre Drummond. The new direction of rebuilding with young draft picks was never more obvious, with 5 rookies on the roster for the 2012 Euro 13 NBA season. In January 2013, the Pistons executed a 3-team trade with Memphis Grizzlies and Toronto Raptors. With that move, the last remaining member of the famous 2004 championship team, Tayshaun Prince, was sent to Memphis, ending his 10-year stint with his native team. The Pistons acquired guard Jose Calderon and his expiring contract. Following the 2012 Euro 13 season, coach Lawrence Frank was fired on April 18, 2013, after 2 losing seasons, and on June 10, 2013, the Pistons hired former player and coach, Maurice Cheeks. On July 8, 2013, Rasheed Wallace signed a 2-year contract to join the Detroit Pistons coaching staff as an assistant coach. During the summer of 2013, the club has signed 3 prominent free agents, forward and potential All-Star Josh Smith, a former player and 2004 NBA Finals MVP, veteran Chauncey Billups, and the Italian League MVP Luigi Datome from Virtus Roma, and agreed to sign and trade Brandon Knight, Vyacheslav Kravtsov and Chris Middleton to the Milwaukee Bucks, for point guard Brandon Jennings. Halfway through the 2013-14 season, Pistons relieved Maurice Cheeks of his head coaching duties and replaced him with John Loyer on an interim basis for the remainder of the season. In April, the Detroit Pistons announced that Joe Dumars would step down as president of basketball operations, yet remain as an advisor to the organization and its ownership team, and on May 14, 2014, Stan Van Gundy was hired. The former Miami Heat and the Orlando Magic coach, signed a 5-year, $35 million contract to become the head coach and president of basketball operations for the team. Media coverage. Radio. The Pistons' flagship radio station is WMGC-FM Detroit Sports 105.1 Fathoms. They will take over from WXYT-FM starting with the 2014-15 season. There are several affiliate stations throughout Michigan. The regular radio announcers are Mark Champion with play-by-play and Rick Mahorn with color commentary. TV. The Pistons' current exclusive local television rights holder is Fox Sports Detroit. The regular TV announcers are George Blaha with play-by-play, Greg Kelser with color commentary, Martine Cleaves with studio analysis and Matt Shepard with sideline reports. Uniforms. Mascots. Season-by-season records. Home arenas. When based in Fort Wayne, Indiana, Northside High School Gym, Allen County War Memorial Coliseum, in the Detroit area, Olympia Stadium, Cobo Arena, Pontiac Silverdome, the Palace of Auburn Hills. Notes, March 12, 1960, the Pistons hosted a playoff game against the Minneapolis Lakers at Grosse Pointe High School when no other facility was available. April 27, 1984, the Pistons played Game 5 of their playoff series against New York in Joe Louis Arena due to a scheduling conflict. During the 1984 Euro 85 season, the Silverdome's roof collapsed, causing the team to temporarily relocate back to Joe Louis Arena and Cobo Arena. Players. Current roster, recent NBA draft selections, 2014, Spencer Dinwiddie, 2013, Kentavious Caldwell Pope. Tony Mitchell. Peyton Shiva, 2012, Andre Drummond. Chris Middleton. Kim English, 2011, Brandon Knight. Cal Singular. Vernon McLean, 2010, Greg Monroe. Tariko White, 2009, Austin Day. Dajuan Summers. Jonas Jerebko. Chase Budinger. Note, the rights to Budinger were traded to the Houston Rockets in exchange for the rights to future second-round draft pick and cash considerations. 2008, DJ White. Deron Washington. Note, the rights to White were traded to the Seattle Supersonics in exchange for the rights to Seattle's draft picks Walter Sharp and Trent Plaisted. 2007, Rodney Stuckey. Aaron Aflalo. Sammy Medja, 2006, Will Blaylock, 2005, Jason Maxiell. Amir Johnson. Alex Acker, 2004, Ricky Paulding. Retired numbers. All of the Pistons' retired numbers are currently hanging in the rafters of the Palace of Auburn Hills. The numbers were also placed on the Pistons' floor on the sidelines, but were removed prior to the 2011 Euro 12 season. Greg Monroe has worn the number 10 since joining the Pistons in 2010. Although the team retired the number for Dennis Rodman in 2011, Monroe has been permitted to continue to wear the number with Rodman's blessing. One never played in the NBA. Number represents the two NBA championship teams he coached. 2 also president of the team from 2000 to Euro 2014. 3 banner raised to honor his 35 years with the team. 4 banner raised to honor his 13 years as the team's general manager. Basketball Hall of Fame members, players. Lloyd was inducted as a contributor as the first African-American player and bench coach in the NBA. Coaches, Larry Brown, 2002, Chuck Daly, 1994, Dick Vitale, 2008. Vitale was inducted as a contributor for his career as a college basketball broadcaster. Front office, William Davidson, 2008, Fred Zollner, 1999, Bing, Daly, Davidson, DeBusschere, Dumas, Lanier, Thomas, Yardley and Zollner have also been inducted into the Michigan Sports Hall of Fame. Head coaches. Records, franchise leaders, individual awards. Rivalries, Lakers Euro Pistons rivalry, Bulls Euro Pistons rivalry, Pistons Euro Celtics rivalry. References, notes. Sources, profile at Sports Cyclopedia, profile at The Draft Review, profile at BioOps Online, external links. Official website.